And welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on Dolynny TV. A long-awaited discussion, guys. I've been meaning to get around to it. Yesterday I kind of took that day off to get going and just enjoy a Friday night to myself after a long week at work. But today, back on the grind is today. What do we got? We've got the Toronto Maple Leafs games, so possibly a total of 4 things going on Dolynny TV Oilers related today. You've got today's video talking about the rookies. Then you've got the game preview, you've got the game stream that I'm hoping to have up for the full game tonight, and then you've also got the game breakdown. But guys, let's get to it. When we're talking about rookies, I'm talking about anyone who isn't in Bakersfield or the NHL at the current moment. Now, why is that? Why would I go look at a bunch of guys like that when realistically it has no barring on this season, no barring maybe on next season? I'm just doing it just as kind of a catch-up, a reminder, right? These guys are Oilers organization players. So to see them playing around in the ECHL, CHL, NCAA, Europe, right? We got to keep tabs on them at some point. I thought about a week ago I was going to do that. Then I didn't do it because we went on the Bakersfield binge there for a couple of days. So here we are going to get going with the Wichita Thunder down there in the ECHL. A couple of guys who have played time in the AHL, and they're not exactly likely to crack the NHL roster, if at all. But forward and left winger we've got down there in the ECHL, still Oilers affiliated, Colin Larkin and Nolan Vesey. They've both played 30-plus games. Larkin's played 35 games, 1 goal, 8 assists, 9 points, a -6. Not really the penalty minutes, so just a kind of bottom line guy by the looks of it to get it going. Nolan Vesey, I wish I had more to go off of. I just have the stat lines here on the Oilers website. Nolan Vesey, 32 games played, 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points total, +1 and 14 penalty minutes. So you see, those guys, I don't think many Oilers fans are really aware that either they're still in the Oilers organization or that they're going to do anything, and I really don't think they're going to do anything. But that's kind of the report on the Wichita Thunder at this point. Now, when you go to move to the next section on the Oilers website, and you can actually check out all these stats that I'm showing off to you guys right now. If you go to the stats section of the Oilers website, and it's about 4 rows from the bottom, it's called the All Oilers Prospect Stats. That's where you'll find everything I'm going off of right now. So we've got a couple of guys down there in the CHL. Evan Bouchard, Kirill Maximov, Ryan McCloud, Ostap Safin, and Dmitry Samarukov. Guys, those are some names that we've been getting excited for pretty much all of this season at this point. Safin, we were actually getting excited for a little bit prior to the season because there's a little bit of buzz about him there. So you see, it's led by, well, a couple of guys here. There are really good players down there in the CHL for the Oilers. Ryan McCloud still not on an entry-level deal. However, I believe that gets done this summer, and we might see him up here in the Oilers copper and blue very, very soon. Evan Bouchard, let's get to him. 19 years old. We've seen him for a couple of games in the NHL this season. He held his own, didn't look too out of place. Still a young kid, still fresh, right, obviously. So you can't blame him too much for any mistakes he made. 12 goals, 37 assists, 49 points, a +30, and 34 penalty minutes for Evan Bouchard. How unreal is that? That is absolutely nuts to think that we've got an OHL defenseman. I mean, he led the league in scoring or something really close there last year. He is just absolutely crushing it. I know a couple of you guys have said a weak World Juniors, like that doesn't bode well for him. Honestly, for Evan Bouchard, the big stage isn't exactly the stage you have to perform on at 19 years old. For Evan Bouchard, you have to perform night in, night out playing defense. And one thing, if you're looking in the CHL, if you're not playing defense, your plus-minus isn't going to be a +30. I mean, even if you have 49 points, I'm sorry. It's just not going to be a +30. So for Evan Bouchard, that's a good thing. But I mean, that London team is very stacked as well. You got to think about, if you watch my NHL 19 franchise, you'd know the name from Chicago, Adam Boquist. That guy's there too. So can't exactly shrug off that his teammates probably help him just as much as he helps himself down there in London. But for Evan Bouchard, that's not necessarily a bad thing when you consider he didn't get any help from the Oilers early in the season. So Kirill Maximov down there in the OHL as well with Niagara. How about 59 games played, 38 goals, 38 assists, 75 points for a plus 35 on the year. So Kirill Maximov, guys, when you're talking about the Oilers not knowing how to draft, Kirill Maximov looks like the guy that is about to prove all that wrong. That's the beautiful part about Maximov, is it looks like it's going to counteract all your guys' complaints about the Oilers drafting wrong. However, we'll see. The numbers looking very good for Kirill Maximov at this point, though, with the Niagara Ice Dogs. 110 penalty minutes. Somebody's going to have to give me an explanation on that one. That one doesn't quite make sense to me. And now you go down to another 19-year-old. See, we've got a lot of 19-year-olds down there in the CHL this year. Actually, everybody on the list is 19. Ryan McCloud, 57 games played, 17 goals, 42 assists with 59 points on the season. So you want to talk about a guy who may just step in, and depending on what the Oilers roster shakes out this offseason, he may step in. And if you want to keep Draisaitl and McDavid together and burn up another center on the wing as well, Ryan McCloud may just be the guy that all of a sudden we think Draisaitl and McDavid pass fancy. Hey, you give Ryan McCloud time to pass to those guys, watch out what's going to happen. And I think that could be a very telling way of that next season if Ryan McCloud's up there on the top line getting it done. I mean, that's hope and a prayer, and why would you waste a kid that young? I mean, he's stepping in at 20 years old next year, so a lot different than wasting him at 18 years old, especially when you've got a guy like Jesse Puljujärvi who you've done that to. So for Ryan McCloud, I think he's kind of slowed down off the start of the season. He's -3, so read into that what you will. And then injury-prone Ostap Safin here. 9 points in 10 games with Halifax, so I think he's still injured or just got back. So we'll see what Safin can do if he gets back the rest of the season or if he's gone. I'm not sure. I haven't read up on Oilers Future Watch there by my buddy Matt Mosowich, so I got to make sure I get going. I should have done that prior to this. However, it's all good. Dmitry Samorukov, the other guy we got to talk about, another guy that's going to prove this whole Oilers can't draft fallacy wrong. Yes, it's under Peter Chiarelli, don't get me wrong. I understand that all these draft picks mostly were under Peter Chiarelli's tenure. However, for Samorukov, 54 games played, 7 goals, 34 assists, 41 points for the Guelph Storm. And the guy just seems to be getting better and better by the day. And I mean, 41 points for a late round draft pick as opposed to Evan Bouchard's 49, difference in 14 games, yes, but still, Dmitry Samorukov, go get the job done, buddy. So now we go move over to the NCAA and college commitments, guys. These guys are guys we have on the radar, might be good, might be bad, who knows what's going to happen with these guys. NCAA guys aren't exactly easy to predict, right? So Phil Kemp, 26 games played, 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points. Vincent Desharnais, 35 games played, 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points. 22 years old is Vincent Desharnais, though. So a guy that might step into the Bakersfield team next year, like a guy like, I don't know, like Joseph Gambardella or somebody fill that kind of role. But with 11 points in 35 games in the NCAA, that doesn't bode too well for that happening. John Marino, 21 years old, 29 games played, 3 goals, 8 assists, 11 points. So you see nobody really flashy up there in the college ranks for us. Matthew Carnes, same thing, 20 years old, 25 games played, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. Nothing fancy. He's a defenseman, though. These last 3 I've mentioned are defensemen. Graham McPhee, a left winger, a guy that we drafted not too long ago. 29 games played, 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points, -7, right? Look at that. It's not looking good. And he's playing on Boston College, so you got to think that a lot of these guys are actually playing on Boston College. The next 2 I mentioned are Apeli Rasanen, 20 years old, 31 games played, 5 goals, 2 assists, 7 points on the season, playing there on Boston College. Joey Dudak, 22 years old, 33 games played, 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points, right? The points really aren't there. And I mean, the NCAA is in a league that you can kind of score a few more points if you're offensively inclined. And then you've got Matthew Kesserling, the 18-year-old, 53 games played, 6 goals, 19 assists, 25 points, the D-man. So this is where I'm not reading too little into it. For Fargo Force in the USHL, I believe he's committed to college, so we'll see what happens with him. Hopefully he ends up transitioning back to pro games right away here, either in the ACHL or in the AHL within the next 2-3 seasons. Skylar Brendamore, a guy that we've had on the radar since we drafted him 2 years ago. 52 games played, 13 goals, 31 assists, 44 points. Mind you, he's playing in Junior A hockey in BC with the Chilliwack Chiefs, the famous Chilliwack Chiefs, mind you. So keep that in mind. And now we have only a couple of other guys to get through here as we'll go for Europe. Philip Berglund, this is another guy you got to keep your eyes on. 21 years old, 2 goals, 8 assists, 10 points, 48 games played. So Philip Berglund playing over there in the Swedish Hockey League. I mean, he's a guy you got to keep your eye on, but another guy that really has to have your attention going into camp next year. 48 games played, 6 goals, 24 assists, 30 points, and a guy that's pretty much a complete defenseman at this point, right? 24 years old, ready to step in, plays the big ice, so you know he can play the small ice if you're transitioning that D game correctly. And that's Joel Persson with Växjö in the Swedish Hockey League, so keep an eye on him. Then you've got the LIIGA down there, and this is where it gets fun for Marcus Niemelainen. 47 games played, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points in the column. I don't know if he's in over his head against a lot older guys or what the deal with Marcus Niemelainen is, but we'll see what he does if he transitions over to the AHL, because you got to think, right? We're going to have to transition about 2 or 3 defensemen to the AHL next season no matter what. Because I don't know if you'll keep Ryan Stanton. I don't know what goes on with Keegan Lowe, all that. And considering Caleb Jones and a guy like Ethan Bear might have a good chance of making this team next year, you got to be careful. You got to be careful of stocking the team with enough talent. And there's a couple guys over in Europe that are going to do it. Robin Norrell, not really a guy that would be filling that role, but 48 games played, 6 points, 4, a -5. He's the guy we acquired in the Drake Caggiula trade with Brandon Manning, so keep in mind that he's still in the system. What he's worth, not really much at all from everything Chicago Blackhawks fans told me in that comment section that time. Anton Slepyshev, still Oilers affiliated, 26 years old now, 25 points with CSKA Moscow in the KHL, 15 goals, 10 assists. So to say that, oh my God, he just wasn't getting the playing time, he needed to go light it up somewhere else, well, 25 points in 56 games, yeah, that's a half point per game clip, but is it really what everyone thought Anton Slepyshev would do as soon as he leaves? Not really. Bogdan Yakimov, yeah, that's a name from the past, isn't it? Still Oilers affiliated as well, with Chevropos Severostol in the KHL. 50 games played, 24 years old now is Bogdan Yakimov, 15 points, 4. And then you got Patrick Sekinen. This is where it gets really exciting for Patrick Sekinen. He's a Junior A player, a left winger. He's put up pretty much point per game, 39 points in 41 games with the Blues U20 in the SM LIIGA Junior A. So, I mean, finished Junior A, read into it what you will, how good or how bad it is. And point per game, that's all right if he comes on over to the AHL next season and maybe plays with Jesse Puljujärvi to start off the year, right? Jesse is probably going to start the year in the AHL given this hip injury, so we'll see what happens. And now this is where we get into the really exciting stuff, because this is a good time. So I'm going to read the AHL stats for all these goaltenders, and then we'll see. I haven't touched the AHL guys, but we'll get it going. Dylan Wells, 20 years old, 4-5 in 9 games played, 301 goals against average, 902 save percentage for the Condors. Shane Starrett, we all know what he's doing, 21 wins, 4 losses, 3 overtime losses, 219 goals against, and a 921 save percentage. Then you've got Stuart Skinner, who's been up in Bakersfield. He's had 5 games played, 4 wins, 1 loss, a 278 goals against, and an 890 save percentage. So that's just Bakersfield tightening the screws on him, I think. And then you got Hayden Hockey and Olivier Rodrigue. And Hayden Hockey, this guy's a beauty. 20 wins, 9 losses, 4 OT losses, a .179 goals against average, and a 921 save percentage in Providence College. So he's lighting it up in college hockey in terms of winning. I mean, Providence College, a notorious winner in the H East, but still Hayden Hockey getting the job done at 23 years old. Olivier Rodrigue, 47 games played, 35 wins, 8 losses, 2 overtime losses, 241 goals against average, and a respectable 903 save percentage in the QMJHL. Guys, that's fantastic. So there you go. That's your rookie report right there 14 minutes and 56 seconds. Long time to get through, lots of stats to read. But that's kind of top to bottom, everybody down from the AHL except the goaltenders. And I will hopefully catch you for the game preview right away here, probably around 10:30, 11 o'clock. My time here, Mountain Time in Alberta. Guys, I'm Tyson. This is Dolynny TV. Thank you for sticking with me. I will catch you in the next one.